Coming to you live from Browns headquarters in Berea, Ohio, this is Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Here are your hosts, Beau Bishop and Nathan Zegura.
You guys there?
Oh, sure.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, you are up.
All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Beau. He is the great Z. How you living today, pal?
I'm doing very well, man. Doing very well. Excited to have had a weekend with the sun out. You got the tournament. I got to play a little bit of golf.
Wow.
Everything was good.
Sure you did. Sure.
Striping the ball, too. Like, couldn't have hit it better. You were. 4 3-putts in the first 6 holes, so I was a little rusty there. I declared, for no reason and with zero practice doing it, that I was going to start putting like Colin Morikawa because he said that it was great for him. So I was like,
explain to people who don't follow what that means.
So he kind of changed his grip. It's not the claw, but it's kind of like over the top. Your right hand is more over the club instead of, so I'm like demonstrating here like this, as opposed to, normal would be, let's see if I can get it for the phone. So normal would be like this.
So he's more.
Instead it's like this. Your right hand's kind of like this, but not a claw. It's not a full claw. The claw was straight aside. It's more like that. Guess what? No surprise. I'd never done it before. I just said I'm doing this on the golf course.
Didn't take
4 3 putts in the first 6 holes, going back to my old putt. Although I did feel like I was rolling it really well, but it happens. But
yeah. More
importantly, Andrew Berry, just what a week. What a difference our organization, our football team from a week ago. It
was a fantastic weekend. I am well aware that when we did our month rankings for Ohio weather, March was way down the list. I want to say it was like 3rd or 4th worst month for weather in Ohio. I mean, we had it on the power rankings. I want to say it was like 9th. It was like February, January, March was like the 3rd worst month. This has been spectacular. It's been 3 weeks of pristine weather. Cool, sure. Sunny, yes. Sometimes approaching 70. Okay, absolutely.
Take it.
Open the door, open the windows up. Let the wind blow in. Drink it up, kids. It's been unbelievable. I don't recall a March like this in Ohio. I don't. It's been really sensational.
It has been good. We were debating on whether or not, where the November, December, where they go, but then the joys of the holiday season.
Holidays.
It's nice to have snow at that time of year, so
yeah.
we ranked them up.
Football.
But it's been a great March. How did you take advantage of the vitamin D this weekend?
In various AAU gyms throughout Northeast Ohio is how I took in most of it.
There's no vitamin D in those gyms.
In and of itself. No. But as soon as you got home, our games luckily were in the mid-mornings, and so we were able to be home at a decent hour and get some vitamin D, and that was a win. But there was so much, even from a sports perspective, that's happened since last we did a show. And we'll get to Malik Jackson because everything else, we happened during the course of the shows last week. We'll get to Jackson in a second. But I was thinking about this over the weekend watching the basketball, and Ohio State lost on Friday, as you all know. But watching having the basketball on kind of in the background all day, all of the weekend, and then being able to get the alerts on the March Madness app of, hey, this is close, jump to it. There was a time for the kids out there where you got one game, and that was your game.
Yeah.
And then they would switch off of it if another game was close for the last 45 seconds or so, and you could see, like, the finish. But you couldn't just go watch whatever game you want. The way that the NCAA tournament is now is nothing short of sensational, that you can watch 4 games at once, bounce around. There were several instances where there were close games happening all over the place on Saturday and Sunday night where I was able to jump in. It was awesome. And a bracket that has, this Midwest, Loyola Chicago's an 8, Oregon State's a 12, Syracuse is an 11, Houston is a 2, but they barely survived last night against Rutgers. Barely. They had 2 ridiculous plays in the last minute, otherwise they were ousted. The fact that Oral Roberts of 15 is into the Sweet 16,
crazy.
And you're just going to see more and more of it. It's been a fun tournament. It has been. There's been a lot of buzzer beaters. It's been fun. And so it was a good weekend all the way around. Let's get into the OBM hot topics. Preferred copy provider, your Cleveland Browns. Follow the X's and O's for your office. You call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. You said it. What have we done in a week? A lot. Andrew Berry's been very, very busy in a week. We opened up legal tampering a week ago today, and now you look back and you go, my goodness, look at what has happened over the course of a week. And we were talking on Friday's show, and we talked about this for a little bit of time. What he has been able to do, and his front office, and Kevin Stefanski, Paul DePodesta, what everybody's been able to do up there, is they have sorted out that we can go to the draft and not have to draft any position of need. We still wondered if there was another defensive lineman that was in the mix, and boy, was there. But if you wanted to, you could roll out a team right now without drafting that is better than you one you rolled out a year ago, and that is a tremendous accomplishment in and of itself. Then all of a sudden you add Malik Jackson to the mix after we were off the air, and it just continues to buoy those thoughts.
It does, and that's what makes it, I think, so very, very exciting, is that you have a team that has basically been remade in a week. Remember, the legal tampering period we're an hour into it a week ago. Yep. And you think about everything that has happened since then, it's kind of incredible. And, I had an opportunity to talk with some people today, various portions of the organization, but one who's certainly on the football side. And, it's no surprise this happens. This stuff and laying out their possible scenarios and the scouting, going back to even the college scouting for this free agent class, began in November, kicks into high gear in December. By January, they've got a pretty darn good idea of their plan. And so by the time you get to mid-March, that plan has been finalized. It has been discussed. It has been laid out. They're ready to go. And so you've seen a team that was able to execute that plan. And I remember talking to AB a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you excited for free agency? Like, I'm just excited to execute the plan. I already had the plan. That's what these guys do. The process was in place. They've got the plan, and then they went out, and now they have executed on it. And it's a sign of good teams, or the fact that you're becoming a good team. Multiple things happened in the last couple of days or last week that told me what a better team and organization we are. Number one, and it bears repeating, it's something that Browns fans should cherish, I think, every day. Just remember this. John Johnson III said, why would I take a few extra dollars and potentially miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime to sign with the Cleveland Browns? A class free agent, like a premier free agent, thought that signing with the Browns was the opportunity of a lifetime. That's one. Mm-hmm. Number two is the sign that we're a good team is that we are not going into the draft looking for salvation. We are not going into the draft looking for our savior at quarterback. We are not looking in the draft right now, honestly. There is not a single position on our roster where you would say going in the draft we must find a day one competent starter.
Nope. Don't need one.
That's one of them.
Let that one marinate there, buddy.
Yeah.
Let that one sink in, folks. Understand the significance of that. Bask in it. You can go to the draft without needing a starter.
That's right.
Let alone savior. We've had to look for saviors and left tackles and defensive ends and franchise cornerstones. Nope. Don't need it. Don't need it. If you land one, fantastic, and you'll have a plan for this too, and you'll do that and probably land difference-making talent in this draft. But you don't have to, and that is something around here you got to go back a long time, and there aren't many teams in the league, pal, who have that.
No, and there are two things at play here, right? There are two things at play here. There's the one, which is the perception of the Browns from the star players of the league, and you got a sense of that with J.J. Watt as well. Two is now just the reality of where we are as an organization, where our roster is. I mean, we were concerned about certain areas, and now you feel really good. Yes, you want some depth and competition. There's some, still a pass rusher, a corner, but there's some more stuff I learned in talking to some people today about various positions in this defense and the comfort and the excitement about certain guys, which we'll get into as we start to take a look at what this roster really looks like. But quality guys were added at important positions, and I mean, you do not have a pressing need.
That's unbelievable. To draft just best guy on your board, best fit. You don't have to go chasing left tackle, a corner, quarterback, God forbid. None of it. Like, just Whoever falls to you, the guy you like best, draft him. Don't worry about it. It's organizational depth. It's a remarkable thing. It really is.
It's incredible. And again, it's the plan. And
Yep.
like the fact that all of these deals were made under the framework knowing that we are going to have extensions coming up, that this is a plan that's not just a one-year plan. This is a multi-year plan with various layers and facets of how they're going to construct it. And I think that, I had somebody described to me the way that our organization is functioning right now as utopia, that this is professional nirvana for them because of the synergy between everybody at the top, AB, Stefanski, and Paul, the fact that it is an idea meritocracy, that nobody has too big of an ego to say that they must be the ones coming up with the ideas. How do we get better? Let's discuss it. I don't care whose idea it is. If it's the right idea, we're adopting it, period. And you're seeing this organization function at a very high level. Does it guarantee you go to the playoffs every year? Of course not. Because injuries, things happen. Every season's its own unique journey. But you will be put in the position to succeed the vast majority of the time here as an organization. And then that trickles down to on the field, game days, etc.
Yeah. No, it's really sweet, and it sets it up. And if you're wondering is there one thing that maybe under the perfect ideal circumstances would have been added, then the thing that you would say to yourself is, okay, you know what? Maybe a veteran defensive end, another defensive end. You probably were in the mix. We know we were in the mix on J.J. Watt. But there was also discipline in that. And there was a discipline to not get into a bidding war for something that would hamstring you down the road with your own roster. That is something that was done hand in hand with this team and this organization since Andrew Berry's been here, is he will not put this organization in a bad spot when it comes to retaining his own talent. And that's where you're at as a franchise right now, and it's a good spot to go into this draft this way. So you feel very, very good. Malik Jackson coming in, Z. This was something that happened after the show got over for us on Friday. What do they like about him? How did it come about? What's the fit?
Well, a couple things. Number one is that, Joe Woods was in Denver. He was the defensive back coach in 2015, which is the year Malik Jackson was with the Denver Broncos, racked up 5.5 sacks, ended up becoming a prized free agent who signed a huge deal at the time, lucrative deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, I've talked to our defensive line coach, Chris Kiffin, and he said a lot of times when you think about what you want a defensive line to look like, 4 guys rushing the passer, he said, I think in many cases it was, I think of 2016, 2017, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And those were defensive lines that had Yannick Ngakoue, Dante Fowler, Calais Campbell, and Malik Jackson. And so they like what Malik Jackson can bring as a pass rusher. They like his ability to get to the quarterback from the interior. Now, he's a guy who's been in the league for a little bit of a while now. And so he is not, the guy who had 9 sacks in 8 sacks, in 2017, went to the Pro Bowl, but he can still be a very productive situational pass rusher. And you add him into a room that's got Sheldon Richardson. It's got now Andrew Billings, Malik Jackson, reportedly, as well as Jordan Elliott, who they think is going to make some big strides as well this year. That's pretty good. And so Malik, his position versatility along the interior of the line, they like him in various. He can play a 3 technique. He can play the 2-eye. He's somebody that Joe knows that they expect to add a little pass rushing juice to the interior portion of our defensive line.
So there you go. So one more guy into that mix of a very talented mix and a defense that has been remade in a week. And I know that for some fans it was slow going, but Andrew Berry picked up pace in a big way. The other news out of the NFL, do we want to do that? Let's do it right now because it's the big news today, and that is the draft and some of the details coming through on that. I saw from Destination Cleveland, from the NFL, from us. This thing looks spectacular. It looks nothing short of spectacular.
The mock-ups are incredible.
The mock-ups are incredible. So everything will be down near the stadium, near the Rock Hall, near the Science Center as well. You see those amphitheaters. You've no doubt seen that going around. I am very encouraged by that this is an all-in NFL draft. There will be obviously some social distancing, some maxing, some vaccine requirements that are there as well, but we're vaccinating at an incredible rate right now, so I would think that shouldn't be a problem. We're still a ways from it, but I was so worried that we'd lose our opportunity here. And to see this stuff, you can't help but get excited about what that'll be like down on the lake.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And as I said, the mock-ups look incredible. It's just going to be another a real nice, shining a bright star on this city, which I think deserves it. And, hopefully the weather continues in this sunny, as we get into the end of April. But, yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing for the city, wonderful thing for the NFL. And clearly they're excited about it. Roger Goodell's supposedly going to be here every single day for the draft live out of his basement, so he's going to be fired up. Seen your swag, by the way, with some old Air Max 1s on today. Just some sweet ones.
Some old Air Max 1s. What's the colorway on that?
It looks like an Ohio State colorway. I can't tell for sure, but it kind of looks like a little scarlet and gray on there.
Like a little scarlet and gray on the colorway?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Wow, is he wearing them with slacks, or is it
nice
a jean situation?
Nice quarter zip jeans. Yeah.
Wow. He's had such a run. It's been such a run of swagginess.
He's on
coming.
fire.
Yeah.
It's just
He'll be at his best at the draft, that's for sure.
Just like the front office.
He'll be his best. Yep, absolutely so. So this has been fun, and it's been a great start to the we were waiting for this. It's hard to imagine all the things that have done in a week, but they've been done, and now you're on your way, and reportedly Malik Jackson joining on Friday as well. So a lot to look forward to there. We've got basketball in the state of Ohio tonight. Ohio University, you're going to be all in on the Bobcats this evening at 6 o'clock.
Yes, that'll be fun. Yeah, why not? You got to root
I'm
for them.
bandwagoning it, man.
Arizona's not in. I have absolutely no dog in the fight whatsoever from a college basketball standpoint. In fact, I don't even know who any of these people are, which is fun watching it because every game is just, oh, that guy's pretty good. Oh, I like that guy. Oh, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
So, and I've been like you. I've had more on in the background than I've had in terms of just like sitting down watching full games.
Yeah. I was dialed into the Buckeye game, obviously. Watched a little of Cleveland State. That went wrong in a hurry. And then still great season, incredible season for Cleveland State. And then Ohio I was into just because I know Jeff Bowles for a lot of years. He was a former Buckeye assistant and got to know him really well when he was on Thad Matta's staff in the early 2010s through the mid-2010s. And I watched that game against Virginia. I find the college game so much more fun to watch than the pro game, even if I don't know the people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the randomness of it, or it seems like there's real ball movement. It's not ISO. I just like the style of play more. And there's so many of these games have been down to the wire. It's been a joy.
It has been. I agree with you. I think it's been a fun start, and obviously we expected. That's why when I went through and I was doing a bracket, just to kind of go through it. It's always fun to fill those things out.
Sure.
I had no idea why I was picking any team in any given game. None. Zero. No idea. But it's funny to see all these upsets that have happened, and I think you should have expected that, right? Because this was such a tournament where you really didn't get to see full regular seasons. Nobody really got to test their mettle. You didn't know where everybody stood. And so it's fun. It's fun to see it all play out.
Furthermore, college basketball is kind of the Wild West right now because it's coming to the end of one and done. So there are all of these teams. Like, this is a tournament that is taking place without Arizona, Kentucky, Duke. Louisville. None of them are in it. And they're all kind of stuck in between one and done, or do we develop players? And they were the teams that were on the outside looking in. Meantime, you have teams like Loyola Chicago, like Oral Roberts, certainly like Ohio, who could spring it tonight again against Creighton and give Gonzaga all they want. These are 3- and 4-year players that have played together and oftentimes many years, and they know how to play. And that goes such a long way when you're talking about a one-and-done situation. Talent doesn't always equate. Most times it doesn't. But knowing how to play each other is what is most valuable, especially in these early rounds when you're seeing somebody on a day's rest.
Yes.
And so that's what allows for it. So it's been a lot of fun. Lots to get to and a lot of fun on the program today. The voice of the Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan, will join us at 2 o'clock. We'll get into some free agency tracking that is going on. Peter King with some interesting officiating tweaks that could be coming to the league as well. So lots of fun to be had on the program for you today. Much more still to come. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Sure.
All right, you were up.
All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily on a Monday edition of the program. This from ESPN's ESPN Insider from Pro Football Focus. Most underrated and overrated deals in free agency. Underrated deals. Number one, John Johnson III. They say the Browns entered the offseason with one of the most well-rounded rosters in the NFL. The addition of Johnson takes him a step closer to contention. The former Rams safety finished the 2020 season one of the 5 most valuable defensive players in the NFL, according to PFF's win above replacement metric, and he did it while serving as a signal caller for the number 1 coverage unit in the league. Johnson's proven to be capable of playing any role in any scheme. He's recorded PFF grades of 80+ in 3 of 4 seasons, all of which ranked 11th or higher at the position. The one season he didn't was in 2019, and then that season he played only 6 games. This was a home run for the Browns. Might be the best signing of the week. Guess who's number 2 on the list, Uncle Z?
Yes, Troy Hill. That's right. Well, we'll just bring in 40% of the number 1 pass defense's secondary in the NFL. Come on over it. We're 2 for 2 right now.
Absolutely, and PFF says this contract doesn't even make Hill one of the 40 highest-paid corners in the league. Yet over the past 2 years with the Rams, he's ranked 14th in coverage grade and 20th in WAR generated among all those at the position. Cleveland got him on this dirt-cheap deal for one reason only. Hill is a slot corner. He's the most undervalued position in the game. The Browns recognize this and seize the opportunity. When filtering to only slot snaps, Hill jumps to the number 1 PFF coverage grade. With a signing of two of the top and most underappreciated defensive backs on the market, Cleveland might have won free agency. So says the guys at PFF. That sounds good, doesn't it?
Let's go. It sounds great. Now, the one thing that makes me not as happy is as you go through 4 of the top 6 signings in the entire league, 2 of which are ours. We're the only team represented twice, but are all in our division. Yep. You got Mike Hilton to the Bengals. Yes. You got Zeitler, which we hated that as soon as it happened, to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that one, the Zeitler one to the Ravens is the one that bugged me the most, more than the Hilton one. I almost feel like the Hilton one kind of offsets the Bengals' losses of Lawson and Jackson, that those are ones you would have rather kept your guys than go with the replacements that they did. So the Hilton, it's a good deal, certainly, and he's a good player. But because of some of the other, I think, kind of mistakes that they made in free agency, it kind of is a wash. Whereas Zeitler to the Ravens, I mean, that's just such a Ravens pickup right there. It just is that's just what they do.
It is. Now the Bengals, though, while they did do a good job with Hilton, they got dinged for the Trey Hendrickson deal. That's in the 6 overvalued deals there. I still cannot believe they let Carl Lawson walk and then paid Hendrickson.
They did it at corner too with Jackson. I mean, they let them both walk. They let their own players that are better walk. Although maybe they didn't let him walk. Maybe they tried, and maybe those guys said, you know what, I'm out. And maybe the same was true with Zeitler, because if you were looking for a team that needed help in the interior blocking other than the Ravens, it was certainly Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
And you would have thought they would have kicked the tires on Zeitler. I'm sure they did. And he said thanks, but no thanks, and went to Baltimore instead.
He did. Good fit for him, and we know how good Kevin Zeitler is from his time here. So, yeah, that was definitely a very, very, very good signing by them. I think undervalued, and again, this is just based off my sense. I talked about how impactful I thought my interview with Takk McKinley was. Well, there were a lot of people in this building that felt that way after getting a chance to talk with Takk McKinley this last weekend, and I think that there's a lot of excitement about what he possibly can do. Now, there's obviously some caution given how things have played out for him, but I do think there's a lot of excitement about what Takk McKinley could be opposite Myles Garrett, and everybody really did feel that hunger that I talked about, that I felt through the Zoom when I was able to speak with him. I'm calling right now. I said, put it in Sharpie. Like Sharpie.
You put it in Sharpie, yeah. I mean, he's a lottery ticket.
Yep.
It's a lottery ticket.
Yep.
And the ceiling is really, really high. It'll just be incumbent upon himself to prove that he is what we believe him to be, and on him to prove others who doubt him wrong. And it's good to have hungry guys with high upside, and that's what Takk McKinley is here. And there's certainly a recipe for success for him to be had. You're not going to do any better than playing with some of the talent we have on that defensive front, especially opposite Myles Garrett. You're going to see a lot of single blocking, and I if you have it, I'm thinking you ought to see it this year from Takk McKinley. It's all there for you. Which is when you look at this list, is there one free agent signing, not from around the league, that you look back and go, man? Because when I'm looking at this list, the one that makes just no sense for me is the Kenyon Drake deal with the Raiders.
None. Zero. Yes, that is stunning.
Like, you have Josh Jacobs, who you drafted in the first round, who's good, and you have him, and then you gave Kenyon Drake 2 years, 14.5, and 11 guaranteed. And the way that you could get running backs, the idea that you would do this is hard for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah, you just invested an insane amount of money, but then you also had just invested a first-round draft pick on a running back, which is in a very, highly coveted and valued draft capital. That's a stunning one, and I think that is, many people have said that is the biggest head-scratching move that has happened so far in all of free agency, which is, you never want your team to be on that side of that, but listen, sometimes that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is, and it's been a puzzling. I heard I think it was Mache say this over the weekend that John Gruden with talent accumulation has kind of like talent accumulation ADD. Like, he just keeps looking for new shiny things, and he can't stay focused on who he has. And if you think of that first draft they had, or the first run of free agency they had, none of those guys are there, and they gave out $109 million in guaranteed money, and none of them are there still, which is a pretty remarkable thing. The Bud Dupree one's tough, too, I think. When you look at $35 million guaranteed for a guy coming off an ACL who's always played opposite T.J. Watt, I think that could be a little tricky for Tennessee.
Yeah, and, it's interesting that you have two people in Dupree and Hendrickson who both got paid very well, that reportedly both had the majority of their production coming on unblocked plays or cleanup plays. And for Hendrickson, 11 of those 13 sacks last year came under those circumstances, which they said was the highest that they'd ever charted. Bud Dupree's very good, though. I'll tell you, there's some things you can look at numbers, and other things, I'll say this, being on the sidelines and seeing him in person, he passed the eye test. He was physical. He and T.J. Watt would just set the edge just in a very, very violent fashion, and I thought were very, very – that was a good outside linebacking combo, and that's what I'm sure Vrabel wants, that physicality, as they really search for the pass rush in Tennessee that hasn't been there. It's going to be tough for him to, I think, live up to that deal as the guy, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Still some names out there in free agency, and certainly many that bear paying attention to. We will take a look at what the AFC North has done in free agency a week into it coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, you are up.
Be sure to catch the latest editions of the best podcast available, presented by Key Private Bank. Out now wherever you get your podcasts or by going to youtube.com/Browns. The Ibs boys and Clooney break down the first few days of free agency, and re-signed Browns linebacker Malcolm Smith will join the program as well. As we take a look at what the AFC North has done in free agency, I feel very confident in saying that we're the favorite in the AFC North, period. I don't know if it's even a co-favorite in my view. I think we are definitely the favorite. I think we got demonstrably better defensively. We return everybody else. And you look at the losses throughout the rest of this division, I would have Baltimore second.
Yep.
Pittsburgh's got big problems.
Yep.
Big problems. And they are not – it's almost like – and look, you're envious of that organization. They've got all the rings. They've won all the championships. They've been relevant for a long time, and are one of the models in this league. There's no question. But it almost seems like they got emotional in free agency with their guys because their decisions, to me, put them in a tough spot. And I heard Mike Tannenbaum this morning saying that he sees them as a 5-win team next year in Pittsburgh, that they could be picking towards the top of a draft next year based on what they've done in free agency. And I don't think Cincinnati did enough, and I still think they're too early in their process with Burrow, and he's coming off a major injury. I would have it us, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, pick them.
Sure, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Here's for the Steelers right now, as we stand right now. Here's who's left the team. James Conner, who was their leading rusher. Vance McDonald retired. Matt Filer, who was their sixth-man offensive lineman but ended up starting a ton of games. We talked about him when we were looking. Signed a big deal, 3 years, $21 million with the Chargers. Alejandro Villanueva, who's been their starting left tackle forever, free agent. Marquise Pouncey's retired, who was their starting and all-pro center forever. Tyson Alalu goes to the Jags, who was a good player on the interior of their defensive line. Bud Dupree signs with the Titans. He's gone, their second leading sack getter most years, not last year because he was injured. Vince Williams and Avery Williamson, two linebackers they brought in during the season, free agents. Mike Hilton has left and gone to the Bengals, and Jordan Berry, their punter, is also a free agent at this time. So who did they bring in? Because that's a lot flowing out. They retained Ray McLeod. They retained Zach Banner. They signed a one-year contract, B.J. Finney, and Cam Sutton staying in Pittsburgh on a 2-year, $9 million deal. And then Juju Smith-Schuster is also reportedly back with them, even though I don't know why it's not listed here, but he's back with the team as well. So that's it. B.J. Finney is the only person who has been added to this roster from the outside. And then we went through all of the losses, which are significant, especially on the defensive side for a team that's going to be built on its defense. Steven Nelson also left, didn't he? Didn't the other corner leave?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
They had to because they brought back Juju, so they had to.
Yep. So that's a lot.
Sure is.
That's a lot of out the door, not a whole lot of in the door for them.
Yeah, they were in a tough spot from a cap perspective. We knew it. It felt like last year was kind of the last run at it with that group, and they're kind of now in the middle of make it. I mean, I don't think they're competitive. They will be because they have great organization. They'll have great organizational pride. They'll all of those things, but they have lost a ton of talent that you just can't. You can't just plug it back in there. So I think they take a huge step back. And Baltimore, Baltimore's had some losses as well, but I do like the Zeitler signing for them. To me, they're clearly a playoff team. I could see them in the 10-win, 11-win situation somewhere in there.
Yeah, so they're good. And let's not forget, the Steelers lost, counting the playoff loss to us, 5 of their last 6 games.
Yeah,
so to think that they could have a rough go is not crazy in any stretch. The Ravens lost RG3. Mark Ingram signed with the Texans. Des Bryant, Chris Moore, Willie Snead, wide receivers. Guard DJ Fluker, their center. Matt Skura to the Dolphins. Yannick Ngakoue to the Raiders. Matt Judon to the Patriots. And defensive end Jihad Ward to the Jaguars. But they've made some good moves, and you mentioned Zeitler at the top of them. They got tight end Josh Oliver, again, not a household name. Kevin Zeitler signing. Tyus Bowser re-signing. Pernell McPhee re-signing. Justin Ellis re-signing. And Derek Wolfe re-signing. So Zeitler is really the only addition. But again, when you lose Judon and you lose Ngakoue, those are pretty big losses, even though Ngakoue, people would say, did not play well for them.
Sure.
They really haven't added much to their team while there's been a pretty good flow out. But Zeitler is a huge addition to that offensive line. Huge.
Yeah, and the Bengals save it a little bit at the end of the week, but just some puzzling stuff at the beginning of the week, not keeping their own. I think adding Riley Reef certainly helps, and lots been made of the whining at dining at Jeff Ruby's places down in Cincinnati for them to get some guys late last week to sign in, including Reef. But I do think the thing that you'll remember as a Bengals fan, and there are probably a lot of them listening right now, but just from our perspective even, like you drafted two pretty good guys in Jackson and Lawson. You developed them. They're both good players, and now both of them leave, and you have to replace them with guys who you don't know. They don't know the system. You lost guys who you knew, who I thought had higher upside, for two guys to me who don't. So to me, that will always kind of hang over their free agency. Could prove right. Maybe they know what they're doing down there and got guys who are better. That's just kind of a little bit of a stigma that I think remains from free agency for them.
Yeah, and you look at overall, they address, Riley Reef, as you mentioned, comes in to play some tackle for them. The replacements at corner, out goes, William Jackson III. In comes Mike Hilton, who was a slot corner, and Chidobe Awuzie, who was with the Cowboys before that. Larry Ogunjobi comes into that defensive line, and then a lot of re-signings of lesser players. They lost quite a bit, though. This is a team that talk about leaving. A.J. Green, John Ross, Bobby Hart, Quentin Spain, Alex Redmond. That's just on the offensive side. B.J. Finney, their center. And then you've got B.J. Finney ended up going to the Steelers. And then you've got Carl Lawson gone, Geno Atkins gone, Christian Covington, Margus Hunt, Mike Daniels, all gone on the defensive line. Corners, William Jackson III, you mentioned, and Mackenzie Alexander. So a lot of change there as well. A lot. We've had a lot of change in terms of the people that have gone out, but we have also brought in, I think we've replaced very well. We've upgraded.
Well, yeah, I think we're the only team now, we have gotten demonstratively better on our defense. The Baltimore Ravens probably got better on their offensive line with the addition of Kevin Zeitler, which will help with their ability to run the ball, which is something obviously they struggled with a great deal last year compared to what we saw the year before from them. But the other two teams in our division, it's a lot of wait and see, and it's hard for me to make any case how Pittsburgh could be better off now than they were a year ago. And I think you make the same case, honestly, for Cincinnati when you factor in all of it, especially Burrow's injury, that it's hard to imagine them in a better spot this year than they were a year ago at this time. So, that's why I said we should be the overwhelming favorite in the division. We should be.
I agree that we should be, and I believe that we are. I mean, I think that we will be
the
favorite in this division. And like the fact that a week ago at this time there were so many concerns and questions, what would this look like, that a week later, as we said at the beginning of the show, they've been answered, that we have a very clearly defined defensive starting lineup, offensive starting lineup. I mean, rotations even. I mean, you're talking about your defensive front. Certainly on the interior, you're 4 deep now. Defensive end, I still think that there could be somebody else, added into the mix as things go on. But linebacker, you got 6 linebackers in the building right now. You've got your corners, probably somebody else added there, but your safeties are set. I mean, we have come such a long way in a week. All 3 levels were addressed.
We did that. When did
All
we do
3.
it?
All 3.
I wrote it down because I was doing it when we were looking at the defense, and you were looking at basically the depth chart where you're at. I think we did it on Friday's show last week, and we were kind of going through it a little bit. And you can run out a base, nickel, and dime that's ready to go.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
So you haven't drafted anybody, and you have an opportunity to do that, and you could get a lot better in a hurry there. The NFL competition committee was some interesting. Remember we talked about this about a year ago. Could they make a significant officiating tweak We'll get you the details from that from Football Morning in America with Peter King coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, you were up.
All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Time to go around the league. This from Peter King this morning in Football Morning in America. Significant officiating tweak coming? Question mark. Actually, the league or the NFL news cycle didn't churn this out. He reported it. NFL owners at their virtual March through 30th, 31st annual meeting could vote to allow in-stadium replay officials to the added power to advise on-field crews on plays game officials missed or may have called errantly. If it passes, and I believe the competition committee is clearly in favor of it, expect help from upstairs on catch, no catch, down by contact calls, and close sideline plays. I'm for this. This has to This has two things. It has to be done quickly, and it has to be whoever that person is, whoever that in-stadium replay official is, ought to have complete autonomy over the crew. This cannot be a conversation with the on-field official. It has to be, this is what it is, do it now. If it's anything other than that, there'll be delays. If you're watching the March Madness over the course of the weekend, you've seen these countless trips to these monitors. Like, that can't happen. It's got to be in the ear. Nope, incomplete, 2nd and 10, go. That's it.
Yes.
They have to have that power.
Yes, of course. The Sky Judge. This is what we've been wanting.
Sky Judge.
For a long time.
Yep.
It makes all the sense in the world.
Let him judge.
Yes. No, it's not. He's actually out of bounds. Nope. And then you go.
Nope.
That's it.
Next. No questioning it. No questioning it. I want the eye in the sky judge to basically have, like, my ruling power over my children, which the trump card is because I said so. That's what I want. Minus all the conversation.
Because I'm watching it on a television.
Because I said so.
In slow motion.
Right. We want it to be, let's start at, because there's 75 rebuttals before you get to because I said so as a parent. Eliminate the 75 rebuttals and just go straight to because I said so, incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Right. Well, yeah. Because it doesn't even need to because I said so. You saw it happen in real time. I'm now watching it in slow motion on HD, and I'm telling you, his toe is on the out-of-bounds line. It's out of bounds, incomplete pass. Moving on. And that way it should be just quick. Yep, missed it. Oh, you missed that one there. Hey, that guy tackled. That's pass interference over there. He was tackled trying to catch the ball. I don't know how you guys missed it, but you did. Throw the flag. I think that there should
awesome.
be. I
if
want
there
this
was like if the replay
feed.
official guy like had an attitude.
Yes.
And it was like, I don't know, like that. How'd you idiots miss that over there? He tackled him. You missed that? Really? What are you, a bozo?
Yeah. What are you doing? That's what I want. That should be part of a broadcast feed where you get to hear that guy's snarky comments to the officials on calls they blew.
On how bad it was. You blew it.
You
blew it, boy.
It could be. I think it could be fun. Like each, you could have like a rotating thing because, frankly, the barometer for that person to make a change should be that it's obvious to that person, right? That
yes. Right.
If you're watching the game at a sports bar, that's what people. So I think this could be a thing where the league, auctions off, opportunities to do this to regular folks who have no vested interest in the game, obviously. But
right.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I think you make a great point there. You make a great point there on calls that are obvious. I don't think anyone is in the mood to review 1,000 times on minutia of catch. Like, it has to be quick. It has to be. You either know or you don't. Like this notion of rewinding, we've seen it countless times in the last decade of the NFL on replay, where we're trying to decide if something's a catch or not, and what's juggling, what is a football move? Come on, man. Like, what a catch is. We all know what a catch is.
Yeah, when you see it. That's the threshold. I think that they could be. By the way, there's a clip from Tannenbaum. Was he on Get Up? Is that where you saw him? They're just throwing a quick.
Could have been.
His quote is, "I think the Steelers could very well wind up with one of the top 5 picks in next year's draft." Jeez. Well, anyway.
Yeah, that's where I saw. Yeah, I heard it on. Yeah, I heard it this morning. I couldn't remember where.
This is a no-brainer for the NFL. There is too much at stake, and forget as you get into gambling, which is going to obviously legalized gambling is becoming more and more prevalent. You need to have the integrity of it protected and maintained, and it makes perfect sense that there should be somebody whose sole job is there to make sure that the calls are the right calls. There are still going to be plenty of judgment calls that are going to be influenced by who's on the crew that day. Holding, for example, those types of things. You can call it every play. You have to understand when it's there. I would love them to review as well. For example, this happens. I feel like this happens a lot, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay. All right.
3rd and 13. Quarterback drops back. He's looked right the entire time. Throws it. It's incomplete. 4th down. But then somebody gets called for like illegal contact or a defensive holding on the backside of the play that never was even involved in the play. Like the quarterback never looked there. It's not like the ball didn't go there because of that.
I hate that.
No, that's terrible. The penalty that does not affect the play.
Sky Judge should be like, no.
Nah, no.
Irrelevant.
It had nothing to do with anything.
Irrelevant.
It felt like we got about 3 of those last year where it had
sure.
nothing to do with anything, and you're like,
And I'm sure other teams feel that way too, but it has nothing to do with anything. And then it's a penalty, and it's 15 yards, it's a first down. And what does that have to do with anything?
It's like when you're doing your style of, witness, questioning where you're leading everywhere and sometimes objection,
right.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Where you're leading. Gibbe missed that. You had a great one last week. That was incredible.
It was with Baco. I think Gibbe was here. I think he was texting me the word dead.
No.
Over and over.
That's right. It was dead. That's right.
Threatening.
Well, we will certainly live coming up next because we'll hear from the great voice of the Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan. Remember, we talked to him a week ago today about previewing free agency, so we'll see his opinions on what it went. The other thing I want to get into with Jim, of course, is the draft and what his are and what he's seen from some of those mock-ups that we've seen floating around today that are quite impressive. So the voice of the Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan, will join us coming up at the top of the hour. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Pac-12 just put it on them.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
I got Jim. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
All right, you are up.
If you're injured at work, call the Workers' Compensation Lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And so we head out on the Fifth Third Money Line for a visit with the great voice of the Cleveland Browns, the great Jim Donovan. Jim, what are we doing today, buddy?
All present and accounted for here, Bo. We're just having a nice day out here on the farm. Gosh, it is beautiful out today. It really is. I'm surprised you guys aren't getting ready probably, at the conclusion of the program to go out and grab a quick 9 or perhaps 18.
Oh, what a dream that would be.
I would love to do that tomorrow. I'm trying to do that. I played yesterday, and it was just so nice to be outside. It was insane.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is. It's beautiful today.
Jim, we haven't even had any rain. I mean, you could do some real trail riding right now with the ponies.
Yeah, we did a little on Saturday. We really did it, and it was beautiful. You're right; it was just gorgeous. And of course, now you have a longer daylight, so that makes it even nicer. You're not hemmed in by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, where it's starting to you're losing sunlight. So it's been beautiful, and I know people want to get outside. They really do.
Well, we're starving for it, you finally get a taste. And you see, every neighbor in the street and on all the roads, everybody's on bikes and horses and running because you've been cooped up for so long. We'll get into the free agent conversation in a second, but I wanted to know your thoughts on the NFL draft, some of those images coming out, and we've seen the information this morning from the NFL in terms of what that draft can look like. And, boy, it looks spectacular, Jim. We're gonna pray for weather and hope that it's good weather, but if it is, it should be pretty special. What are your thoughts on the NFL's plan and the Cleveland Browns plan for the draft here at the end of April?
I'm thrilled that it's going to happen. I really am. I know a tremendous amount of effort went in to securing and winning the rights to host it, and then of course it came under great question because of what we're going through. But I know that they were ready to go when they made the bid and made their presentation to get the NFL to give them the draft coming up this year. And I know that they were excited about showcasing the lakefront, the Science Center, the Rock Hall down in that area down there. And then I think the thing that the people, maybe it will come across on television, but certainly it will be felt here, that any time this city hosts a big-time event, and I'm talking about an all-star game, the World Series, or a big Browns game, and hopefully a big Browns home playoff game in the future. Yes. The hospitality that Clevelanders, give in these kind of situations and scenarios is just great. So people who would come here always leave here having a great time because everyone here just puts out 110% to try and make it a great time for everybody because we want people to enjoy themselves when they're here and think of us when they're thinking about coming back here again. So I think it's going to be great. I'm really happy for the city, happy for the Browns, and happy for the fans because it's, now we're probably coming out from underneath the covers a little bit more and a little bit more each week, it seems.
It certainly does, and you're right about that with Cleveland. I don't think that there's any city in the country that universally gets this reaction after somebody has visited, right, whether it be for an event or in the summer. They're like, wow, Cleveland's pretty great. So everything I've been told from afar is all these years is not true.
Remember the RNC guys 4 years, in 2016, people just loved it,
raved.
Yeah, and it went off flawlessly, and at a time when a lot of people were worried about civil unrest, perhaps coming into our city from maybe outside, that wanted to make some headlines and make some noise. And there were a few situations, but they were handled perfectly and very, very well by the city officials. And it was a secure place, but it was a happy place. People had a great time. And, I can remember that Cubs World Series when the Indians and Cubs went the route and went 7 games. And what an extremely unusual event it was because there were so many people that came in from Chicago, and there were so many people that wanted to see the Indians win it from around here. And it was just a melting pot. It was a great 2 weeks for baseball. And baseball at that time really needed, and I say a shot in the arm, and of course we all need a shot in the arm of vaccine right now, but baseball needed a shot in the arm at that time. And I really think Cleveland delivered, showcasing that World Series for what it was, historic in so many ways, but just really good, fun baseball with a great atmosphere. And I anticipate that's the way it will be now at the end of April.
Yeah, and, speaking of doing a great job and representing well, you'd have to think that's what the Browns have done here in free agency. And, Jim, we talked a week ago at this time, and there were a lot of questions about what would be on the defensive side of the ball for the Browns. And now, within 1 week, you have a starting defense that you could roll out today in base, in nickel, in dime, and feel pretty good about it. And we haven't even gotten to the draft yet.
Nathan, it really is something, I think, when you sit back and you go back a week ago or even a little bit more, maybe a week and a half ago, in the lead up to free agency. And when you listen to Andrew Berry, and when I listened to Paul DePodesta, who joined the two of us on the 75th anniversary Browns Live special that night, and Kevin Stefanski, they're not boisterous. They're not trying to make a headline. They all say the same thing, and that is, we have a plan. We're going to go through with the plan. We really feel confident with the plan. And then when when the bell went off and it started, you just say, everybody's a little antsy about what are they going to do? What are they going to do? And they make their moves, and when you actually sit back and take a look at it, you go, wow, now I understand really what they're doing. This is really what they needed, and this is what fits here. And this is what we didn't have last year that we needed to take the next step defensively coming into this season. It really is it's a great thing to watch. You just have to feel that the organization is in such good hands right now with decisions and culture change and things like that. Then to hear those free agents who are coming in and they have their first media availability with the people around here, and they say, this is a no-brainer. I want to play in a town that loves football with a fan base like this, but most of all with this organization who we as players can see are building this thing to win, and they're ready to win right now. I just think that's great.
Jim, I think one of the incredible line from John Johnson III, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. I mean,
yeah.
Think about
exactly,
that. This is one of the coveted guys in all of free agency, and reportedly took a little less because he thought this was the opportunity of a lifetime.
I agree, and that's what I mean. That is just so great to hear. Back in the early years, Beau and Nathan, when the Browns had a ton of money back in 1999, 2000, those early years when they came back onto the playing field, they had a huge bank account that they could sign people, and too many times there were guys who were long in the tooth and at the end of their careers, and they came in here and they cashed in on a big contract, but they, whether physically or emotionally, they just couldn't deliver on the field at that particular time. And it left kind of a bad taste, kind of a buyer's remorse, I think, through the years in free agency, because you got stung in free agency. You spent a ton of money. The guy had a big name, but the big name was accomplished and reached years before he came to the Cleveland Browns. So I think that, this style of free agency that the Browns are going through, and you go back to last year what they did offensively, and now you do it again defensively, just that plan is just so well seated, and you're just seeing it grow right now. And I think it's just so great to watch happen.
What were your favorite moves of the free agency period thus far?
Nathan, I'm going to tell you something. A couple of years ago, I was listening when the Indianapolis Colts kind of made the turn with Frank Reich coming in there in a tough situation with Andrew Luck, retiring, and he comes in there and he gets the job, and he got the job late in the first place. And yet they were playing so well. I remember listening to a national radio show that had Bill Polian on, and he still had great reach inside the Colts organization. And he said, this is a great defense that the Colts have. I mean, they can ride this defense. And it wasn't just Darius Leonard, but he mentioned Anthony Walker. And then last year when we played Indianapolis, if you remember, Darius Leonard did not play in that game. And I watched 54 in his Colts uniform, and he was all over the field. And, of course, he had an interception. But I remember watching, as I always do, a couple of games leading up to when the Browns are going to play an opponent. I watched a couple of Colts games, and all the analysts, whoever it was on television in each one of these games would say, this guy is really, this Anthony Walker, he's the key. He's kind of the computer chip in that defense, but it's not only a thinker, he makes a lot of plays because he's always in the right spot. I was really excited when I heard that they were having him for a visit and the potential of him signing here, because I just kind of got zeroed in on him as a terrific player and a real leader. And even that day against the Browns, though they lost, he was all over the field that day. So I was really excited about him because I had kind of followed him a little bit. But I'm amazed at what they were able to do in the secondary. And more so, if I can say this to the two of you, I'm amazed the Browns went 11-5 last year, considering the state of that secondary, mostly because of injury.
Yep.
But the state of that secondary last year and how they were able to maneuver through that. Now you have guys that you're going to be able to do what you want to do defensively finally. And, the sky's the limit for them.
I think you make a great point right there, Jim. And that's why at the end of the year, I thought Joe Woods did a heck of a job last year. He didn't play the style of defense he wanted to really at any point during the season. They had to pivot. Joe Thomas had said to me that he thought what Joe Woods did with our defense, given the injuries you talked about and having to change, was remarkable. And I can tell you from seeing him here in the building, nobody had a bigger smile on their face than Joe Woods did at the thought of, getting John Johnson and having the ability to play three safeties and then getting Troy Hill and getting Tack McKinley who can get around the edge. But that secondary in particular, it feels like you have 6 starters now in John Johnson and Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, Greedy, Denzel, and Troy Hill. 4 of them didn't play a snap for you last year.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, Nathan, was, and I noticed that this, and I know this stings a little bit, the Kansas City game, but I did notice it in that Chiefs game, that you can get pressure now, pass rush pressure, all over the field, and it can come from so many different areas. And in that Chiefs game, Tyrann Mathieu was a real problem.
Yep.
And they had that young nickelback, that young, nickelback that would come in. He was a real problem. And it really wasn't. It wasn't Frank Clark, and it wasn't Chris Jones that day. It was these guys flying in that, number one, you had to locate where they were and where they were coming from. And number two, you had to block them up. And even that last possession, when the Browns got the ball after the Carl Joseph interception, and you feel that the Browns are really in sync and they're going to move down and possibly score and take the lead, the fact of the matter is they couldn't block those guys coming out of that secondary that were really a problem handling them. So I just think that there are many different ways to get pass rush. Sometimes we just say, it's just like always talking about everything's about sacks. Everything, we think that the pass rush is just going to come off those 2 edges, where Garrett is and where I presume McKinley will be now, where Vernon was and those kind of things. But that's not the way it is anymore. I mean, it comes from different areas. Mike Hilton was a great guy with the Steelers.
Yeah.
You had to identify where he was going to come from, and he was as effective, sometimes more so, than a T.J. Watt coming off the edge because he was just so quick. So those are some of the things I think that the Browns now can say, all right, we have other ways to do this. This is going to help everybody.
And, Jim, one of the more remarkable things of everything that's happened here in the last week, and Nathan and I kind of circled in on it at the end of last week's shows, was and I suppose it comes full circle. We started this segment off talking about the draft a little bit. We will go into a draft without having to draft from a position of need.
Right.
You can really just take best player available. You could run out a starting team right now that's significantly better than the one you put out last year that won 12 games, won a playoff game in Pittsburgh, advanced in the playoffs. You can put a team out better right now, and we haven't even drafted anybody yet. And when is the last time that's been the case where we got to get a franchise cornerstone, we got to get a quarterback. Last year even when we had some of those things sorted out, we have to get a left tackle. Yep. We need to get a safety. Yeah, sure, right. Probably corner and defensive end you want to add to those rooms, but you don't have to take anybody. You can take the best player that drops to you at 26. It's a remarkable thing that's happened here in a couple of years.
Well, as I jog my memory right now, and I would have to say I cannot remember when we have been in that position that we would go into the draft and kind of say, all right, you know what, we can let this kid who we take at 26, let's say, we can let this particular player, whatever that position is going to be, and we can let him develop a little bit more. We don't have to throw him exactly what you just said out on the field right away. He can develop. He's going to be around good players, and he'll learn the right way, and he'll go in the lineup, when it's time to go in the lineup, and, he'll earn his way in the way a lot of good teams do it. I mean, that really is. I mean, hats off for decades now. The Steelers have done it that way. They haven't rushed guys in because they have guys there, and it's a natural progression, but it's not a quick insertion into the lineup. Now, if some guy comes in and he's just off the charts, great, then obviously you want to put your best talent out on the field.
Fantastic.
But you're right. I mean, sometimes we were, putting guys in before they were ready to go in too often. And a lot of times that can really, slow down a player's progress, an evolution to become a starting player that's, in there every Sunday in the NFL because, there's a loss. Their confidence takes a hit sometimes if the opening act doesn't go well for them. So, yeah, this is a completely different situation. But this is, everything's just been done so well. I mean, that they didn't, it wasn't sporadic last year. It was offense last year. We're going to fix the offense. We're going to get Baker Mayfield a lot of tools to be able to excel and play in. Now this year, the defense, they fully knew that, and they've just done an amazing job in building this team, and they've built it beautifully. It really is. It's built well, and it's, I just keep looking at most of these guys that come in, they're all in that age of 25 years old. Those are young guys.
Young guys. They did some who were like a former first-round pick, like a McKinley. You have guys who are playing at a high level, like Johnson and Troy Hill. And then you also get it's reported this time, Walker's a young guy, like you mentioned, but you always need to add a veteran here or there. Malik Jackson, who was a very good player on a team in Denver that Joe Woods was part of the staff of, and then went to Jacksonville when they had arguably the best defense in the NFL for a stretch, to bring in another veteran. And those are the kind of guys that you're seeing come in here where it feels like Malik Jackson says, yeah, there's some familiarity. I like the scheme that we run. I like Joe Woods. I know Joe Woods. But I also like this Cleveland situation, and he's one of those veterans with a lot of talent who maybe not having to play every down can give you very good production as he, chases a postseason appearance. And that's a fun thing to see for this organization as well.
Yeah, and Nathan, if you go back even a little bit, I mean, I think that's something that, like, Sheldon Richardson has done really well here. I mean, a lot of people wondered about Sheldon Richardson, and was he going to be happy coming to Cleveland? And I know it might have been rough early, but he had such a great year last year, and it's so important to have some guys that have a great deal of NFL experience and some veteran, know-how to help young players along. I mean, it really becomes important, and they just know how to deal with it. They just know how to deal with what it's like to be in a big game. Now, there are so many more guys on this roster that are going to be dealing with big games now for the Browns, but they're going to know how to do it because they lived it last year. I mean, they played in big games, must-win games coming down the stretch where you got to win to get that playoff spot. The playoff win on the road. And I think that, it's just all melting the right way for the Browns. The ingredients are perfect. A lot of young players with talent, and the bar's high for a lot of them, and just enough veteran leadership in there to kind of help them along, pull them back into line if they need to have that happen, or just get them through a bumpy situation, because there will be bumpy situations. There's no doubt about that. It's that way for every team.
Yep, absolutely. So, Jim, thank you so much for your time. Give the fellas a little bit of extra oats for Uncle Beau out there on the Ponderosa, my friend. Appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Always great talking to you.
All right, that is the voice, Jim Donovan of the Cleveland Browns, calling in on the Fifth Third Money Line. A reminder, all guests who appear on Cleveland Browns Daily do so via the Fifth Third Money Line, Fifth Third Bank, making Cleveland Browns Daily a Fifth Third better.
Yeah, and I thought, it's always great getting Jim's perspective on things, and I love that, we talked about all the free agent signings, and he went to the linebacker, to Anthony Walker Jr., and, I haven't seen a kind of farewell from other players on a team about a guy like we saw with Anthony Walker, and, I actually got a chance to interview him last week right at 3 o'clock, right when we were done with Friday CBD, which is right as all of this stuff was coming out. And this was the day he announced that he was signing with the Browns. And so we're going to get to hear that interview. But it was pretty cool to see. And he's another one of those guys. You're going to listen to this interview, and you're going to say, yep, I get it. I understand exactly why he's a Cleveland Brown. He fits exactly what Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski talk about, smart, tough, accountable. But it's cool to see the impact that the respect his teammates showed him had on him. He was clearly touched by that, and I think he's ready to come in here and be a leader and play a big role. This is a guy who's accomplished multiple 100-tackle seasons in the NFL, but another guy that's been added that's not just a football player, but a leader just like John Johnson on the back end. And I think that that's something they wanted to do and something that they have done. I got to talk with the linebacker coach Tarver earlier today, and he's thrilled. He's thrilled that they got Walker. Can play all the positions. Leader. He said he's going to do everything the right way. Aggressive, physical, just fits exactly what they want. He said, who better could you have in there as a role model than, he and Malcolm Smith coming back for our young linebackers?
Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw the Leonard stuff with Walker is, boy, I bet Jacob Phillips will benefit from that.
Right.
I bet Mac Wilson will benefit. Sione Takitaki will benefit from that. So now you have him and Malcolm Smith in there kind of leading and contributing and being big-time players. And, you don't see that often. People having that type of impact on a guy like Darius Leonard, who's a first-team All-Pro type player, and having that type of outpouring that you had. So, no, it's fun. This is a fun time, and you see how this plan was put in place and everything that's been done here, and it's been nothing short of sensational. After we take this quick time out, you will hear that interview that Z did with our new linebacker. That is coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Oh, Juan Dixon in the Big Ten.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, you are up.
Knowing one's limit is important, whether it's a snap count for a football player or a spending limit when you're playing the lottery. So if you like to gamble, set a limit beforehand and stick to it. If you want to learn more, go to keepitfunohio.com for helpful tips on how to keep gambling fun. An update from March Madness. The Monday slate of games today, Iowa knocked out by Oregon. The second-seeded Hawkeyes bounced by the Oregon Ducks pretty emphatically. Oregon had a run at the end of the first half and then just pulled away in the second half, won by double digits. Luka Garza, two-time Big Ten Player of the Year, bounced in round 2. It is the second 2-seed the Big Ten has lost, in addition to Ohio State, of course, and a 1-seed. They've already lost Illinois as well, in addition to 4th-seeded Purdue. So it has not gone well for the Big Ten, not at all, in the NCAA tournament to this point. Just Michigan and Maryland, and as you said in the break, and I agree with you, Maryland's an ACC team.
They most certainly are. I don't know how. I was just pulling up my bracket to look at it, but somehow I had Oregon winning this game. Why? No reason. You know why? Because I like the Pac-12, because that's what I grew up. That was my conference growing up, and so I picked a lot of Pac-12 teams to do well. And
you got 2 Sweet 16 teams.
That's worked out pretty well for me.
Oregon State, State, and Oregon.
Yep.
Both in.
Yep, and USC gets Kansas, although I think I have Kansas advancing there in the 3-6 game.
Kansas is down. It's a couple of their better players, so that could go USC's way as well, because they have some COVID issues, or had some last weekend. We mentioned this in the previous segment. The reaction Darius Leonard had to the loss of Anthony Walker on that Colts defense. Here's some audio. This is Darius Leonard talking about the loss of Anthony Walker.
Hey, Walk, my brother, my partner.
You guys are down. It's about a minute 47.
Teammate, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations on this new journey that you're about to walk with the Cleveland Browns. I know personally, man, I've been playing alongside with you for 3 years, and every year has been nothing but great things. And I know that when you go to the Cleveland Browns and play, man, I know you're going to ball out, because I know you as a ball player. I know you as a person. I know what type of standards that you hold yourself up to. And I know that I'm going to miss you, bro. And I just like to thank you for absolutely everything. I wouldn't be who I am without you. I know, the film studying, the note switching, all that stuff, man. I wouldn't be who I am without you. And you're by far one of the smartest middle linebackers that I've ever played with. You're so smart on the field, off the field. And, it sucks that this thing called football is going to separate us too. Man, I just hope one day, man, we can hopefully play against the same team. So I can steal your notes. Hear some other cues from you. So I'm just looking forward to your success in your future endeavors, man. I wish you nothing but success. I know I'm gonna miss you in the locker room, in the meetings, and on the field. Game day is not gonna be the same. Me waiting for you or going out there on the field together. That's gonna suck, but God written another thing for us, man. I know you're gonna ball out. I'm definitely looking forward to see you. And I can't wait till you prove everybody wrong. Everybody's doubting you, and you've been a baller since you came in this league, and you get your respect. And I'm gonna stand behind you no matter what, bro. Once again, man, I wish you nothing but success. Thank you for all.
5 seconds.
And I can't wait to see what your future holds, brother. Cheers to you.
Man.
That is an incredible tribute right there from Darius Leonard. That's incredible. You went one-on-one with Anthony Walker. Among the topics is the amount of affection, certainly, that Darius Leonard has. Let's have a listen to your one-on-one interview with Anthony Walker.
Anthony, everybody's excited to have.
You guys are down.
Is I know the fans are. I know your ex-teammates aren't, but we'll get to that in a second. But let me just say welcome to Cleveland, and we're thrilled to have you here as a part of the Browns.
And thank you guys for accepting me into the organization, into the city. I'm excited to be a small part of what you guys are building here. Definitely, seeing what you guys have, built over the last couple of years, and last year getting the ball really rolling, and hopefully can add to that. That's all I'm here for.
All right, I know you're good on the field. Your accolades speak for themselves. The tackling, your tackling machine, some of the things you've racked up that only you and your former teammate Darius Leonard were able to do on the field last year in terms of tackles and tackles for loss and interceptions, all of those things. We know you're good. But what I didn't know was what are you doing in the locker room? What does this effect you have on people? Because we got grown men crying on Twitter about losing you to the Browns. So obviously, look, not only are you a great player, clearly a tremendous leader, and you have an impact on your brothers in that locker room. Tell us a little about your leadership style, and were you kind of surprised to see that stuff from Darius?
Those are my guys, man. And I think for me, I thought for us and what I brought to the team and to the locker room was just the consistent presence and voice every day. Through the good, the bad, the ugly, we had great times, bad times, and, through it all, I just wanted to remain that constant positive, motivating leader, whatever that we needed at that time. So, those are my guys, man. I know they wanted to see me cry today. It's definitely tough, man. Leaving a place you played all 4 years, out of college. You go there drafted. You play 4 years there. You played the last 3 years with pretty much the same roster, for the most part. And for those guys it means a lot to see the words that they're saying about you. Obviously, you don't always know the impact that you have on someone while you're there, but obviously seeing it, is definitely just a testament to the brotherhood that we built over there, and the same type of role and leadership that I want to bring to Cleveland. It's the same thing. I take pride in it. And definitely something that I want to travel with me.
Listen, there's all we want in this world, right? Is we all want to have success, we want to have family, we want our health and all of that. But at the end of the day, in any given profession that you choose, definitely, you want the respect of your peers. Definitely. And that is not something that is just handed out. That is something that is earned. And clearly you did that in Indianapolis, and I see the impact of that. And you want to do that here. And I think that's certainly a very noble goal. And I think we're all excited to see you come in here. And that's just, for me, just hearing you talk about it and seeing those things, that's all anybody wants, right? I mean, that's pretty cool and exciting to see. Now you get an opportunity to do that with a new group of people and impact a new group of people's lives.
Definitely. No, you hit it right on the head. In any given profession, at the end of the day, you want the respect of your peers, and again, you can do that, and you can lead in so many different ways. And I think what they respected out of me the most was, the way that I did it. I didn't do anything different than be myself every day. I like to have fun. Obviously, I'm not much of a huge rah-rah guy, but I like to have fun. I like to make sure everybody is having a good time. It's a game at the end of the day. We're playing football. And, if I could, whatever I could do to make, my teammates feel good or, play better, get their confidence up, whatever it is, I want to be that voice, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, as the Mike linebacker, that's your job. You're the quarterback of the defense. And we ask the quarterback to, handle a lot of the weight, when we're losing or, we're winning, whatever it is. And as a linebacker, I take that same pride. When we're not playing well, it's on the linebackers. We got to take that under the chin because it's our group. The defense is driven by the defensive line. No question about it. And we have a great one here in Cleveland. But the linebackers are definitely are the engine that gets it going. And we're only as good as our linebacking group is going to take us. So that's just everywhere that I've been. That the linebackers just that engine that you need, and we control the show, as as we like to say, as we did. It's not really often where you say, man, I'm leaving a great team and I'm going to a great team. So playing you guys last year, understanding that you guys are going to be around for a long time, man. You got all the pieces. You're building it the right way. Which is the main thing that attracted me here. You guys are building it the right way. And, I'm excited.
I can tell you are. That's what I was going to ask you. Why Cleveland? When you're a free agent, coming to the NFL, you're drafted. That's where you go. That's where you got to play. Now you have a chance. And, you're from Florida. Now you're deciding, look, I'm only going to play football in the Midwest, Northwestern, Indianapolis, and now Cleveland. But what was it about Cleveland? Why was this the decision that you wanted to make?
I just thought for the overall scheme fit, I thought this was the best place for me. Obviously, very similarities into defense that we ran in Indianapolis. So that's one thing. But also, again, you want to be, at the end of the day, like you said, in any profession, you want to, get the respect of your peers, but you want to win, and you want to be with a contender. So obviously, you guys are contenders. You know, you beat us last year, so I'm just going to go out flat out and say
that's
it.
you now. You are us. Let's go.
But I'm just saying. So, but you know, this is a contending team right here,
right?
And, you know, just a couple pieces away, and I think you know you put it all together, and you make a run at it. You know, at the end of the day, you give it your best shot. You put all the pieces together, and you give it your best shot, and you make it work. And you know, I'm excited. That's the main thing. You know, excited to go to work with guys that you know that want the same thing that you want, and you know that's all it is, man. You want to bring the city a championship, and at the end of the day, I'm happy to be a small part of it.
There's no doubt when you watch your tape that you understand what teams are trying to do to you. Your run fits are great. You are physical. You love to get downhill. You were mentioned scheme fit. For us, for the layman out there, what is it about this scheme that fits what you do well, in your opinion?
Yeah, you know, you talk about, you know, coverage is the same. I mean, I literally had meetings all day, and we literally just went over like, okay, this is this. Oh, that's okay, yeah, okay, locked in. You know everything now. You're good. You know, so when you talk about schemes, you talk about, you know, 4-3 obviously based. You know, coverages that you run very similar to, you know, what we ran in Indianapolis. You know, a couple little wrinkles, you know, from different styles that, you know, Coach Woods come from, which is fine. You know, I'm good. I can pick it up really quickly. So, but at the end of the day, you want linebackers that can stop the run and affect the pass. And football is not going to change from that at the end of the day. So, you guys like linebackers that can get downhill. You know, I pride myself on getting downhill, and when it's the run game, getting in the windows in the passing game, and you know, again, getting the ball back to the quarterback. At the end of the day, you can run the ball, you can stop the run. You're going to be very successful when it comes to playoff football, and that's what I want to do.
Well, and you certainly know kind of the Browns formula. You played against the Browns this past season, had an interception. I don't know if that helped Baker say, let's get this guy off the opposite team and out of here. But you know about the Browns and that running game and their ability to get downhill. And while you didn't have to deal with Nick Chubb back in week number 5, you know, now you don't have to worry about those guys anymore. Nick Chubb,
definitely.
Ernest Johnson, some good ones here.
Definitely. No, definitely. You guys running back core is, you know, ridiculously talented. You know, obviously know Dearness, you know, playing in South Florida. He played at South Florida, and, you know, a couple mutual friends there. So, you know, but yeah, again, I was excited that Chubb didn't play last year. You know, I was excited because, you know, I mean, he's a different animal. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm happy to be on the right side of the coin this time. So, yeah, like I said, man, you run the football in the NFL. You stop the run, you create explosive plays, you stop explosive plays, and you don't turn the ball over, you don't beat yourself.
You're going to win.
Winning football. That's winning football at the end of the day. And this team is built for that. It's built for that, built on all the fundamentals and the right things that, you know, I think football is. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
What are your impressions of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski so far?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about, you know, straight real guys. Yeah. First, as soon as I walked in, you know, from the beginning, that this is what we're about. This is what we envision, and you know, this is how it is. And that you can't ask for more. You can't ask for more as a player. And when the coaches and when the coach and the GM, you know, align perfectly like that, you know, that's when you know you're building something the right way. And I got that as soon as I walked in the building this morning.
Hey, you could feel that. And not only is it that, the philosophy about, yes, we want great players, but we want great men. We want great leaders. And I think you look at some of the other guys who have been brought in with you in this free agent class, and that's a theme. And I'm sure they mentioned smart, tough, accountable. That's what they want the players to be here in Cleveland. And is that exciting to you, knowing that the quality of not just player, but also the quality of guy that they're bringing into the locker room with you?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I had one of my coach's teammates last year, you know, mention this in the team meeting, just about how you do anything is how you do everything. You know, so you can talk about the football field all you want, but you know, they're not doing the right things off the field. You know, I cannot count on you to do the right things on the field. And you know, you got guys that in this locker room here that you know, that I mean, you guys got the best. You know, I say that you got, you know, some of the best in the business, in the locker room, that do, you know, get things done on and off the field. And then, you know, on the field, they're reliable. And that's all you want, man. You want, you know, this thing work hand in hand, offense, defense, special teams. You want guys that's reliable, you know, to the coaching staff to be reliable to you. You know, it all works hand in hand. So, you know, I'm excited, man. This is definitely This is the start of something special over here.
It certainly feels that way, and there are fans, the fans of the Browns, which I'm sure you've already felt the passion of those fans. I don't know if you've seen this yet. I was on your Wikipedia page earlier.
Yeah.
You know, on Wikipedia, people can go in and edit things.
Edit whatever.
At the bottom of your professional career, you get to Cleveland Browns, and this is what it says. It says, on March 19th, 2021, Walker signed a one-year deal with the 2021-2022 Super Bowl champion, Cleveland Browns. So that's on your Wikipedia. It's written. So it must be so. This is why, of course, you want to be a part of something special.
Of course, you definitely want to be a part of something special. So, and again, I go back to your opening statement. You know, when any profession, you want to be, respected by your peers. You want to win, but you also want to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And like I said, it's bigger than me. This is bigger than. I'm excited to be a small part of what you guys got going on here, and I'm excited.
I know. I feel like the season can't come soon enough. Our fans are excited. And as you'll see, hopefully it looks like things may be trending where we can fill that stadium up again, and you're going to feel that passion. But since they can't be as lucky as I am to get to talk to you, what's one thing you would want the Cleveland Browns fans to know about you? What's one thing, if they say they take anything away from this interview or they take anything away about Anthony Walker, what is it?
Yeah.
30.
You got a hardworking player that's going to put it on the line for you guys every day, for my teammates, for this city. That's what I'm about. I'm here to work. At the end of the day, my goal is to, obviously be a part of this team winning the championship, and I'm pretty sure that's this team's goal. So, we're going to get it done for you guys.
Anthony, this was great. Thank you so much. Again, congratulations on signing and welcome to the Cleveland Browns.
Thank you, guys.
You're up.
Another great job at the UZ. The other thing I would say is that there is a common thread of just being really impressive humans.
Yep.
Every one of them that we've signed, like just really, really impressive human beings, which is, it's not just a type of player, it's a type of character they're looking for. And it appears that they've done it with this free agency class as well.
And I think when you really can have, listen, Darius Leonard was clearly moved by his experiences with Anthony Walker and put it out there for all of us to see. And that is something that I think the Browns are looking for more than just great football players. They're looking for great guys, because when you have those kind of leaders and those great guys, it just makes everybody want to play harder. It makes everybody want to make sure they hold up their end of the bargain just a little bit more. And I think that has become, it's when you're building a culture, and culture ultimately is people. And so to have a good culture, you must have good people, and you must have everybody rowing in the same direction. And I think, it comes from the top down in this organization, and you feel that, but you need to have those, what I would call, culture lieutenants in the locker room, because that's the brotherhood. Those are the guys, and you need to have them in there. And in John Johnson and Anthony Walker, you have two guys who are clearly respected by their peers.
Absolutely. Good job out of you with all of those, my friend. I know you're the first one that they talked to, and couldn't think of anybody better to do all of that. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys are down.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys ready?
Yep.
A little less than 2 minutes. You were up.
All right, final segment here on a Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. What do you make of this Monday basketball? March Madness forever was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now we got Monday basketball. We've already played a game.
Well, given that The Bachelor ended last week, I think it's perfect timing for some good Monday programming. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I'll never have to worry about watching that show again.
I do think I prefer Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I prefer the old, because it's nice.
I'm going to have to see how I feel tonight, because in the old way, that kind of kicked off the weekend. Like, all of a sudden, Thursday was the weekend.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's hard for me for a Monday to still feel like the weekend. It definitely feels like Monday. So I think I'm going to like
You're trading Thursday
better.
for a Monday, right? And you can't, like, coax Monday into being a weekend. It's not like I'm going to take a random Tuesday off here, but you could have Thursday, take a Friday off, and now you're living.
Yeah, it's the start of the weekend part that's fun about Thursday, whereas it's hard to make a Monday a continuation of the weekend. It really is.
Monday's still 2 days away from First Friday. Like, you're still 2 days from First Friday.
Exactly. You're light years away. It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare of it. Yeah. So it's tough. I think you'll see some great basketball today. Go Bobcats. Hopefully Ohio gets the win. They play against Creighton today around 6 o'clock. So hopefully they can get a win, and that would be fun to root for them going forward. We are back tomorrow for more fun. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.